Welcome back to the deep dive. This is briefing number 421.
Let's do it.
So today we're looking at a stack of research that basically suggests the price of high-level intelligence has just cratered.
It's a race to the bottom on cost, but I mean, a race to the absolute top on capability. It's a really strange dynamic.
Yeah, it is. We have a packed deep dive for you today. We're going to cover Anthropic's aggressive new model, which might just change the unit economics of, well, everything.
And we've got reports that Apple is pivoting hard into AI wearables. We're talking glasses, pendants.
Things that watch you. And we'll get into why Figma is integrating with the very AI tools that might, eventually put them out of business.
Plus, we've got a roundup on a new AI documentary, big infrastructure updates from Meta, and of course, a list of tools you can actually use today.
It is a busy one. Let's jump right in.
Okay.
So let's unpack the biggest story of the day. Anthropic. They've been on an absolute tear lately, but this new release, the Claude Sonnet 4.6, it just feels different.
It does.
Usually the Sonnet line is the middle child, the reliable but kind of boring one.
Exactly. You've got Haiku for speed, Opus for raw power, and Sonnet was always just balance. But this new Sonnet 4.6 pretty much erases that distinction.
How so?
Well, we're seeing what is technically their mid-tier model going toe-to-toe with their flagship, Opus 4.6, on almost every benchmark that matters.
Like what?
Coding, finance, using a computer.
Huh?
But it's doing it at 1/5 of the price.
1/5. That's a huge difference.
It changes the entire calculation for businesses.
Okay, before we get into the economics of that, let's just stick with the capabilities. I think a lot of people hear cheaper and they just automatically assume dumber.
And that is not the case here. The stats are wild.
Okay, so give me an example.
Let's take coding. On the SW Bench Verified test, which is kind of the gold standard for software engineering tasks, Sonnet 4.6 scored 79.6%.
Okay, and the flagship Opus model?
Opus 4.6 scored 80.8%.
So we're talking about a 1% difference in performance.
A 1% difference for an 80% reduction in cost. I mean, if you're a CTO, that is not a hard decision. You take that discount every single time.
And it gets even weirder when you look at these agentic tasks, right? The tasks where the AI has to actually plan and execute things.
This is where the mid-tier model actually wins.
It wins.
Yeah. In benchmarks for agentic financial analysis and, complex office tasks, Sonnet 4.6 actually outscored the flagship Opus 4.6.
Wait, hold on. The cheaper model is smarter. How does that even work?
It's likely just a matter of tuning and efficiency. It suggests that for these very specific, complex workflows, you don't need a massive model. You just need one that's perfectly tuned to follow instructions. And users are noticing it.
Oh, really?
Yeah, early testers using Claude Code preferred this new Sonnet over the old one 70% of the time.
Okay, I want to circle back to the price for a second. You said this changes the math. Why is being cheap so important here? It's not just about saving a few bucks on an API bill, is it?
No, it's so much bigger than that. Think of it like electricity. When electricity was new and super expensive, you only used it for critical things, like lighting a room.
Right, you didn't use it to run a toaster.
Exactly. But once it got cheap, it became a utility. You stopped counting the watts. And we're seeing the same thing happen with intelligence.
So because it's cheaper, you can just use it everywhere.
Precisely. Before, having an AI read every single email and draft replies for you might cost, I don't know, $50 or $100 a month. So most people didn't do it. With Sonnet 4.6, that cost drops to just a few dollars.
And suddenly intelligence isn't a premium feature anymore. It's just on.
It's a utility. You can have agents running in the background constantly because it's finally affordable. Anthropic is basically running a trickle-down playbook at warp speed. They have to, really.
Because of the competition from China.
Yes. There are very powerful models coming out that are undercutting everyone on price. Anthropic needs to capture that volume layer, the millions of daily tasks. And you can't do that with a luxury product.
And speaking of agents, we have to talk about the computer use score. This is the AI's ability to literally look at a screen and use a mouse and keyboard.
Yes, this is the bridge from the AI knowing the answer to the AI doing the work for you.
The jump here is just staggering. In late 2024, Sonnet's score was under 15%, basically unusable.
A novelty, yeah.
And now
It's at 72.5%.
that's not an update, that's a generational leap.
It is. It means the model can navigate an operating system almost as well as a human intern. And when you combine that with the low price and the massive context window.
It has a 1 million token context window.
1 million tokens.
Just to clarify for everyone listening, what does that actually let you do?
It means you can feed it a whole library of books, or an entire code base or a year's worth of financial records all at once, and it can hold all of that in its short-term memory and reason across it.
So it's cheap, it has a photographic memory,
Yeah.
and it knows how to use a mouse. That is a potent combination.
It is. And it really sets the stage for everything else that's happening, which I think brings us to hardware.
Yes, let's pivot. While Anthropic is building the brain, Apple is reportedly building the eyes and ears. Bloomberg is reporting Apple is going all in on camera-equipped AI wearables.
The sleeping giant is finally waking up.
But the details here are a little surprising. We're not talking about the Vision Pro. We're talking about 3 specific devices: smart glasses, a pendant, and new AirPods.
Okay.
Let's start with the glasses. The report says dual cameras, Apple-designed frames, but, and I had to read this twice, no display.
No display?
Glasses with no screen. If it's just cameras and a mic, isn't that just a body cam you wear on your face? Why would I want that?
That is the big question.
Mm.
But Apple's thesis seems to be that you don't need a screen if the AI is smart enough.
Okay, walk me through that logic.
Well, imagine you're looking for a restaurant. With traditional AR glasses, you'd expect a menu to pop up in your vision. Apple's idea is that Siri can see what you see and just whisper in your ear through the AirPods, "Hey, that Thai place on your left has great reviews for their vegan curry."
So it's less augmented reality and more augmented intelligence.
Exactly. It's about giving the AI context. And that ties right into the second device, this pendant.
This sounds an awful lot like the Humane Pin or the Rabbit device, which didn't exactly go over well.
It does. It's described as a clip-on camera and mic, the iPhone's eyes and ears. Always on, always watching.
And then the third one, which I think is the weirdest, is camera-equipped AirPods.
I know, it sounds absurd.
I mean, where would the cameras even go?
They'd be low-res sensors, probably pointing slightly outward. They're not for taking photos. They're just to give Siri a little bit of visual context. So if you're looking at a landmark, the AirPods can see it and tell you about it.
Okay, but here's my issue with this whole thing. The hardware is only as good as the software, and all of this relies completely on Siri.
That is the billion-dollar question.
We have been promised a better Siri for, what, a decade? And it still can't set a timer right half the time. Why should we believe this time is different?
And that's the healthy skepticism you should have.
That.
But the report does say these devices will launch with a revamped Siri in iOS 27, powered by Google's Gemini.
So Apple hardware, but with a Google brain.
For now, it seems. And that partnership really could change the game. If Siri actually gets the reasoning power of Gemini, plus all this visual context from the wearables, it might finally be useful. But you're right. If the brain isn't there, the glasses are just glasses.
Very expensive glasses, I'm sure. Okay, let's move to our third big story, Figma. This one is huge for anyone in product or design. They just announced a new integration with Anthropic called Code to Canvas.
This is honestly a survival move from Figma.
Explain that, because on the surface, it just looks like a neat feature.
To get why it matters, you have to look at Figma's stock.
Mm-hmm.
It's dropped something like 85% from its high last summer. The market is terrified.
Of what?
That AI is going to replace the UI designer. Right now, developers are just describing an app to Claude, and Claude is writing the code and building the app live in the browser.
So Figma is getting skipped over entirely.
They're being bypassed. So this feature, Code to Canvas, is their way of trying to wedge themselves back into that workflow. It lets you take the live app that Claude built and instantly convert it into editable Figma files.
So it's reversing the flow. Instead of design to code, it's code to design.
Exactly. It's their attempt to become the polishing layer. The AI builds the rough draft and you bring it into Figma to make it look professional and shippable.
But doesn't that just create a new risk that eventually the AI gets really good at the polishing part too?
That is the existential threat. If Claude becomes a better designer than a human, Figma's entire value proposition gets very, very shaky.
It really feels like every single part of the software stack is fighting for its life right now.
The whole value chain is being rewritten in real time.
Okay, let's zoom out. Those are the big 3 stories. But there's a lot happening in the broader ecosystem. I want to shift the pacing a bit here and just look at some of the cultural and infrastructure shifts we're seeing.
It's important. Let's start with the culture side of things.
So we just saw a trailer drop for a new documentary called The AI Doc, or How I Became an Apocalyptimist.
That's a great title.
It is. It's from Daniel Roher, who did the Navalny documentary. The whole premise is him trying to make sense of AI while he's preparing to become a father. It releases in theaters March 27th.
You know, I think we need more of this. We have enough product demos. We need art that really grapples with what this means for the next generation. It features Sam Altman and the Amadeus siblings from Anthropic, so it's going to be a heavy hitter.
And while we're all pondering the philosophy, the companies are busy building the plumbing. Meta just signed a massive multi-year deal with NVIDIA.
Millions of GPUs and CPUs.
Wow.
It just confirms that despite all the talk about an AI bubble, the biggest players are doubling down. They're buying every chip they can find.
It's not just the giants either. Mistral, the French AI lab, just made its first acquisition, a company called Koyeb.
And that's significant because it shows they want to be more than just a model builder. They want to own the server layer too. They're building a full stack.
Then we have the agents themselves. XAI just rolled out an update to Grok version 4.20.
Of course, very on brand with the numbers.
But the tech is serious. They've introduced a workflow where you have 4 agents working in parallel on a problem. It's just a faster way to think.
A squad of AIs.
Exactly. And finally, in the AI for everyone category, Cohere released Tiny Aya, and WordPress launched a new AI assistant.
Tiny Aya is really cool. It's a small open source model that handles over 70 languages with a real focus on underrepresented dialects. And WordPress, well, that powers half the internet. Putting AI tools right in the editor is a huge deal.
It's everywhere, from the billion-dollar data center all the way down to your personal blog editor.
There's no escaping it.
All right, let's get practical. We've covered the news, but what can you actually use today to get work done? Let's run through our trending tools list.
Let's do it. First up, obviously, is Claude Sonnet 4.6. If you need a daily workhorse for coding or heavy analysis, this is the one. That 1M context window is a beast.
Next is Recraft V4. If you do any marketing or design, check this out. It's an image AI that's actually good at typography, so you can finally put text on an image and not have it look like a nightmare.
For developers and global teams, there's Tiny Aya, which we just mentioned. It's a great little open source model for any multilingual tasks.
Then for content creators, we have HeyVid. It's a generative tool that handles video, voice, and music all in one place. Pretty powerful.
And we shouldn't forget Claude Opus 4.6. Even with Sonnet's rise, if you have a task where cost is no object and you just need the absolute deepest level of reasoning, Opus is still the heavyweight champion.
If you live in presentations, check out GenPPT. It generates and beautifies professional PowerPoint slides instantly. Could save you a few late nights.
And last, Anakin. This is a neat API tool that turns any website into structured, LLM-ready data. Really simplifies the whole web scraping process if you're building an app.
A very solid list. Something there for pretty much everyone.
For sure. The toolbox just keeps getting deeper.
Well, that brings us to the end of today's deep dive. It really does feel like all the old barriers are just dissolving. The cost is down, coding is automated, design is becoming promptable.
It leaves us with a big question to chew on, though. If the AI can code the app, design the interface, and run the agency, are we moving to a world where having the idea is the only human skill left?
Yeah.
And is that enough?
Something to think about. Thanks for listening.
See you in the next